Monday is regional elections in Venezuela and general elections in Chile. This is an important polling day, as these elections might impact Latin American political landscape. For more on that matter, we receive Lisbeth Melendez, who is a human rights activist. Welcome to teleSUR, Lisbeth.
Thank you, Nat. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Lisbeth, let's start with this interview with Chile. Because the South American nation holds presidential elections, and whoever wins the absolute majority will replace outgoing President Sebastián Piñera. The polls show a scattered voting intention among candidates of the left, center-left, and right wing. Which is the cause for this dispersed voting intention?
Well, I mean, I think that, like any other place would find itself in turmoil in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of economic turmoil. Each of these factions represent the status quo, a nationalist purview that, that will continue to be guided by the capitalist, oligarchy based in the northern states, such as the United States and Europe, and a group of individuals in the left who believe that the power of the people and the control of our own resources are the way to go. And so where are we? We are in a place to protect our people, to remain as we are, or to simply close our borders, change the ways in which we do things, and remain static at a moment of need. We've seen these tendencies not just in America Latina, but really all over the world, particularly in the global South, as we struggle with trying to survive. The need and the demands of the so-called first world countries or the global North around the type of mineral, the type of resources that Chile places in Africa and in Asia need to sustain their absolute total unstoppable thirst for things like iPhones and computers and everything else that is needed to survive in today's mega economy. Come from places like that. And so these three candidates represent those three sectors. And you will see that you will see that represented at the end of the day by the people that have the most incentive to show up at the polls to protect the ideology they espouse.
Lisbeth, whoever wins inherits not only an economy severely damaged by COVID-19 resulting crisis, Piñera's legacy of corruption and abuse of power, as well as popular discontent, but also will face tense regional diplomatic relationships. Do you think will a new administration change Chile's current position in the region?
Well, I find it not quite curious, but I do know, as I was preparing for this interview, I was thinking about Burke's election and the candidacy that he represents in the region. We have not seen a left government representative as strong as he is in the lights of, since Allende. And I think that regionally that, should he be elected, he represents something very different than even other leftist candidates in the region, and particularly in South America. And so will a new candidate, will a new president redefine the diplomatic relationships that other countries have, as they also struggle with movements towards the extreme right or left in their own countries? What would it look like in light of the events and the destabilization of Bolivia, Ecuador, Venezuela, again by the very small but powerful and mighty, and I put that in quotation marks, North? We'll see. It remains to be seen. I think that, some people will use that to their advantage to be able to negotiate better deals for the use of their resources. And others will see this as a good opportunity to go back to the continental alliance that we've all dreamt of as South America moves forward into the future. Piñera's corruption and the mishandling of the COVID pandemic will have a big reflection on how they did that, as we've seen it in other countries. It is hard to tell at this particular point what it will do vis-a-vis the countries surrounding Chile, the relationship they have with the migration routes that are taken by Peru and Argentina, and the borders openings to others to come and live and initiate their journeys to other countries from Chile, and how the vast mineral resources that Chile holds put into check be it that is coal, be it that is copper, be it that is cobalt, and how it could then be used as leverage for better diplomatic relationships, not just in the region but in the globe as a whole.
Yes, we'll have to wait what happens with Chile and if there is a second round. Now let's go to Venezuela, because the Bolivarian nation is renewing regional authorities. Outside of its national relevance, these elections are key for Venezuela as it's the first time since 2016 that the European Union deploys observers. Could this finally mean the EU recognizes the legitimacy of Venezuela's electoral processes?
Absolutely, no question about it. And and to be honest, I don't think that the European Union has not seen the validity of the elections, but I do think that politically and diplomatically, games have played a big part. The Trump election, the movement, the Boris election and the Johnson election in the UK, all of the turmoil that was happening around the ultra nationalist movements in the north, affected the ways in which they were able to validate the elections in a moment in which the globe really didn't know how to react to what was going on. It was unexpected. Though I will tell you that many of us in the human rights community saw it coming. This is a great step forward towards the validation of the self-determination of the Venezuelan people. The Bolivarian nation of Venezuela has an opportunity to make their voice heard, whatever that outcome is. It will be dictated by the people. And many of us believe that when the people let their voices heard, be damned what other nations might say, because it is the will of the people, and we believe in self-determination. And should it be the other way around, they would be the ones complaining about their lack of validation, the lack of respect for the voices of the people, of Venezuela, or their own countries, if that was the reverse situation. In this particular moment, I think that these observers, as not just from the European Union, but from they're being deployed also from other parts of the world as assistants to make sure they cover the vast network of voting opportunities that the government has made available to the people, will go a long way to validate the results of the election. Again, not something that we believe everybody will like outside of Venezuela, but it will be a validation of the right to self-determination that the Bolivarian nation of Venezuela has around their political, diplomatic, and economic future.
Yes, Lisbeth, talking about that, the Bolivarian nation have been the target of recent attacks against its electoral authorities, and the U.S. has frequently made smear remarks against the nation. Do you think we can expect more actions like this after this voting day?
I think any time in which a result of the election or a result of the amplification of the voices of the people of a nation do not agree with that of the economic interest of the oligarchy in the United States, as well as its capitalist handlers, we will see this type of destabilization be aimed at the Bolivarian nation. A country that depends still to this day, regardless of what climate change agreements have been reached globally, depends so largely on oil, remains so dependent largely on resources that are not held within their own lands. The destabilization of the political nature and stability of a country works but to benefit those who are looking to enrich themselves and to control the resources that do not belong to them, belong to the people of the Bolivarian nation. And so, will there be other attempts? No question about it. They will twist it and they will make it fit their ambition for control of that does not belong to them.
We want to thank you, Lisbeth, for joining us, and we hope to have you again in the show.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to it.
Thanks so much.